Hey brothers and sisters. Today we are going to be reading from Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes 3:1-8 tells us about there's a time for everything. Read verses 1-8 with me. For everything there's a season and a time for every matter under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant, a time to pluck up what is planted. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to seek and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to cast away. A time to tear and a time to sow. A time to keep silence and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time for war and a time for peace. So, I feel like we've all gone through most of those things. Obviously, we haven't died. This verse is telling us that there's a time for everything under heaven. We'll get back to that later. I have my notes. If y'all want to make notes, go ahead. I'm not forcing y'all to. Obviously, I'm not like, make notes! God's timing is perfect. Just a few verses later, in chapter 3, verse 11, it says, He has made everything beautiful in His time. So His time is beautiful and perfect. There is no flaw in His timing. And in His time, everything is made beautiful. This is what I put in my notes. Whenever things aren't going your speed, God knows the time it will happen and it will be perfect. I feel like we as a people, we're all rushing for the next thing. You don't know what's gonna happen. You have no definite decision on what's going on. Obviously, you can do stuff to help. Like, if I want to be a doctor, I should probably go to college and get my doctorate. I feel like we as a people, we always want the next thing. But if God knows the time that we're born and the time we're gonna die, don't you think He knows when you're gonna meet the one that He has for you? Don't you think He knows the time you're gonna get married? Don't you think He knows the time that you're going to have kids? Don't you think He knows the time that job is gonna reach back out to you? Don't you think He knows the time that you're gonna get that job? In this passage, let's notice what isn't listed. So if we look through all of these, it never once mentions sin. It says there's a time for everything, but there's no time for sin. Jesus can come back any moment. Do you want Him to find you sinning and going out to clubs every night? Do you want Him to see you gossiping about that one friend that you just talked to and just complimented? Do you want Him to see you lying to your parents? Do you want Him to see you doing those sins when He comes back? There is no time for it. Obviously, we're gonna sin. We're not perfect. Only one person ever was, and we crucified Him. We're the ones who put Him on that cross, but we're also the ones that held Him there. Don't you think that's something that we should be striving towards? Not on a cross, but to be as perfect as we can and be an example for others around us. Ecclesiastes 3:14 says, I perceive that whatever God does endures forever. Sin doesn't endure forever. It gives a little hit of happiness, but it does not give any joy. There's a huge difference between that. We are not going to debrief into that. Not today. Why would you want something temporary whenever God already gave you the chance to have something forever? Why would you give up something eternal joy and eternal happiness, for something temporary that'll give you temporary happiness and no joy? I know it's hard to trust in God's timing. I have felt that too. And it's hard to just trust in Him in general, especially His timing. Like right now, there's stuff I'm going through that I'm like, just tell me if this is what you want. Tell me if this is gonna happen. But I need to take a step back and realize I don't have that power to know. It says in verse 11, he has put eternity into man's heart, yet so that he cannot find out what God has done from the beginning to the end. We are obviously not gonna know what's going on. We don't know what's going on. I don't even know what I'm gonna eat later. If I'm even gonna eat. I don't know. I could die any second. I know this really like, whoa. I was kind of like, whoa. But it's true. We don't know anything, really. We know our past, but we don't know our future. The only thing we can decide for is our present. So choose the right present. Don't worry about the past. The past can take care of itself. Don't worry about tomorrow, because tomorrow will take care of itself. Worry about now. Now is what you should be worrying about. Are you right now? Is there anything that you can improve on? It's important to reflect on yourself. In 2 Corinthians 13, it says, examine yourselves to see whether you are in the faith. Test yourselves. Or do you not realize this is about yourselves, that Jesus Christ is in you? Unless indeed you fail to meet the test. We need to examine our hearts, see which way our heart is leading, and see if we need to change that. Wait, why are we doing fireworks? It is the 7th. Anyway, we need to trust in God. Let's take the prodigal son example. And the prodigal son, I'm just going to summarize it. We're not going to talk about it. By the way, prodigal son is in Luke 15:11 through 32. Long reading. Yeah, that's fine, not reading. The prodigal son is where this guy comes up to his dad. There's 2 sons. Okay, and a dad. This is the dad. First son comes up, or like one of the sons was like, Dad, I want my inheritance now. And then dad's like, you know what? Sure, but the inheritance in the story is sin. It's sinful ways. And so he goes and takes his inheritance, uses it on temporary things. Like there he squandered his property in reckless living. And yeah, reckless living. So first son is like, bro, I wasted it all. I don't have anything left. So he went and hired himself out to one of the citizens of that country, who sent him into his field of pigs, into his field to feed the pigs. Low battery. You're charging, bro. Anyway. And he was like, bro, my dad's servants get treated better than this. So then he goes, and then like while he's walking, he's like, okay, I'm gonna say, this is verse 18. I will rise and go to my father, and I will say, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. Where'd I go? I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me as one of your hired servants. And then he's like, okay, I'll say that. I'm sorry. And then he arose, and then he went to his father, and it was like, and as he was still far off, like, this was the house, and then this was the fire, this was the son. It was like, woo. The father saw him coming back, and he was like, oh my word, my son is back. So he ran out and hugged him and embraced him and kissed him. And verse 24 says, for this my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. And then they began to celebrate. And hold on. And then the second brother was like, bro, I have been faithful to you my whole life. I haven't spent my inheritance with reckless living. And then the father said, son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. It was fitting to celebrate and be glad, for For this your brother was dead and is alive. He is lost and is found. He probably had no faith that his father was even gonna, like, hug him or kiss him or, like, be nice to him at all. Don't you think it was so hard to trust his father in that moment? Hard for him to go back. I have felt that. I was once in the deepest valley that I would, like, grumble every single time I would grumble every single time I would have to go to church. I would just play on my phone the whole time. I wouldn't listen. And one day, this voice inside me got louder and louder and was like, turn back to me. And I think one day we talked about the prodigal son, and it just kind of clicked. This verse is in my bio. This verse is in my bio on my private Instagram. And I'm even tearing up right now. Like, it's crazy to me that whenever I came back, God was like having a whole party. He was so happy. And I'm grateful that I get to have this opportunity to be with him. And I have this opportunity to share the gospel, share the good news. If you don't know, good news is that we're all sinners. We've all fallen short of the glory of God. But because of Jesus's sacrifice, the most perfect man to ever live, the most perfect person ever, we killed. But he could have sent 10,000 angels. He probably could have sent more than that. But he decided to stay on that cross for us. I just think that's so wonderful to think about. His father knew that whenever he asked for the inheritance, he was probably going to spend it on reckless living. The father knew that I was going to stray, but he also knew I was going to come back. The father in the prodigal son missed his son so very much, and you can tell in verse 20 that he missed him, that he missed his son. And with God's timing, we cannot do anything but pray. It's all in God's timing to, let's say there's a guy you like. It's in God's timing that he will come up and talk to you or anything like that. It's in God's timing that that job will reach out. And it's in God's timing that you're going to get married. Obviously, not all of us are going to get married. Not all of us are going to get that job. Not all of us are going to have that person reach out. But the most we can do is pray. And it's so important to pray. Like, I even have a prayer board in my room because it's so important to pray, and I do not pray enough. I feel like this video is already way too long. I just love yapping about Jesus and God and all of that stuff. If you want to see more videos like this where I just yap most of the time, let me know and I will make more videos like this. I'm probably gonna make more videos like this anyway because I love this, and I hope that this was helpful to y'all in any way. Love y'all. Bye brothers, bye sisters.